how would you like to achieve your first million? And today we have Mark joining us from Pennsylvania, and he's an award-winning CEO and 20 plus year entrepreneur in a performance marketing and real estate. So Mark, tell us, what are the 5 steps that you recommend entrepreneurs in order to achieve the first million?
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, Harry. So the 5 steps. First step, it always starts off, I've been an entrepreneur for 25 years. It's your mind. Your mind has to be in check. It has to be positive. It has to be open to opportunities, and it has to be accepting opportunities to come in. The second thing I would say is once you have your mind figured out what niche you're going to be in, right? So if it's going to be real estate, if it's going to be lead generation with marketing, those are the things that I did. You want to figure out your niche, okay? After you figure out where you're going to be focusing, what type of service you're going to offer, the next thing you want to figure out is who you're going to approach to sell your service. So if it's in real estate, you're going to maybe approach real estate brokers who have properties and deals for sale, etc. If it's lead generation, you reach out to marketing companies and figure out what they want to buy for their clients. Next would be getting those the platforms and the actual leads, the service to provide for them. So sometimes people use AI, sometimes people use Facebook, sometimes people use LinkedIn. You got to start generating all those leads and all those services or whatever. Get that service platform that you're going to utilize to sell the service, the SaaS platform. Figure out what you're going to use and then offer it. And then the last part I'm going to say is just have fun, right? Mm-hmm. Once you got it all figured out and you got everything figured out, stay positive, help your clients, bring a ton of value, and have fun. Because when you're having fun, good things happen to good people. So.
Mark, we already interviewed 500 millionaires, and one out of 6 entrepreneurs, millionaires that we interviewed in this podcast, they are doing real estate in some different type of strategy. If is that to share with our audience, do you think that real estate is a good vehicle to become a millionaire, or we only hear the positive stories here in Harry's podcast, and then we never hear about the people that fail? Or what is your view in this statistic, which is a reality, what is happening? And the proof is this broadcast. If you hear this podcast, and our listeners, they know that 1 out of 5 eventually consistently over 500 interviews have been doing real estate in some form, right? And that has contributed a lot for them to become wealthy. So what's the secret? It's real estate.
So I would say, let's say for real estate, for example, if we're talking about that, there's a really easy way to get into real estate. It's called bird dogging, is what we call it in the industry. And all that means is you have a buyer here and you have someone looking to sell something. So they're selling a home. The buyer wants to buy the home because they want to rent it out. All you have to do is connect the two. That's called a bird dog. You don't have to be selling the home. You don't have to be buying the home.
And with no money, you already can start in the game, right?
That's right. So if the seller is like, I want to sell it for 100,000, and the buyer says, well, I'll buy it, you negotiate and say, well, you buy it for 110,000. So now they'll pay 110, and that 10,000 comes to you, and then you give the 100,000 to the seller. So you make 10,000. It could be that simple, just connecting the dots of who wants to buy, who's selling, and connecting. Now you're going to run into opportunities where there's a lot of people where they don't actually want to negotiate and they want a certain price that's too high or too low. But then you just go on to the next deal. You don't waste too much time, because the more opportunities you put in front of yourself, the more chances you have to make money.
Yeah, my first business was real estate. We were doing rent to rent there in London. We managed to sell over 5 million. So I'm very grateful to property. I love it. It's not the thing that I'm more passionate about it, but definitely has been the foundation of my life. However, we understand, Mark, that when that like everything, being in real estate and doing property, eventually you need to learn what you're doing, because when something goes wrong in property, it's expensive. Sometimes if you make a huge mistake, you won't be able to get back on, in terms of, if you pick the wrong deal or you're doing the wrong strategy. So what what can you share with our listeners that they can mitigate their risk in order to build a sustainable property, multi-million dollars property business? For example, you started amazing this conversation. Said, look, guys, this is something that you can do. You find a buyer, you find a seller, you make the money in between. You don't need no money, and now you're in the game. This is an amazing way for with very little risk to the people starting out to jump into the game. However,
Yeah.
it becomes a little bit more complex when you want to invest in your own house, when you want to flip it, when you want to do other strategies out there. So, what do you recommend for our listeners?
Yeah, so if you're someone who wants to flip a house, for example, I mean, I've heard horror stories. I've been through horror
Oh, me
stories
too.
where some
Lows.
people, yeah, you lose money if you don't know what you're
Oh,
doing.
if
So,
something goes wrong, you know.
right, it can be costly. So you want to make sure that you mitigate your risk, like you mentioned. And some of the ways to do that is, sometimes you use what's called other people's money. That's number one. But the other side of it is now you have other people's money. It's very important to them and to you to do the right thing. You have to bring in the right contractors. And sometimes you need to get referrals from different realtors and brokers in the area where you're flipping that house of who they recommend those contractors are, that they're going to show up on time, they're going to do what they said they're going to do, and they're going to do it in a costly manner so it doesn't cost you more money. So you could use other people's money to buy the house and give them a return, maybe 20%, 25%, or even some equity in the sale of the house. And then you can leverage brokers and realtors in that local area who know the contractors to make sure they do a good job in flipping the house. So therefore, you don't necessarily have to be there in that neighborhood because you're getting referrals and you know that the contractors are going to do what they got to do, and you know the realtor told you what the comps are going to be. So you're kind of leveraging other people. It's a really big model of what we use, me and my partner here at TM Investment Group. We leverage other people and we leverage their expertise to help us get where we want to get quicker rather than trying to figure it out ourselves.
Wow, 100%. So, what your favorite strategy, Mark? There are a lot of hundred. Well, no, I won't say hundred, but there are a lot of property strategy there. There are people in this podcast. We have people that buy warehouses, divide it in pieces, and produce income for their investor like this when they rent out the spaces. We have people doing rent to own development. We have people, big
Yeah.
developers. We have a lot of people that have been guests from this podcast doing a lot of different things, strategies in real estate. So, which one is your favorite and why?
So right now we're doing land development in the
Oh,
Sun
wow.
Belt region. Yeah, I'm a part of a private equity group. And essentially what we're doing is they specialize in land development. So we'll buy property that's specifically land and that's shovel ready, which basically means it's approved by the city. It's approved to actually build. And we don't actually go vertical. We don't build the houses. We actually do the horizontal roads and the infrastructure, all that stuff. Once we
Wow.
get the roads and infrastructure
Oh,
ready,
wow.
it's a minimum of 100 homes to 400 homes is our sweet spot. Then once we put all the roads and infrastructure and the utilities, then we'll actually sell that finished product to a builder like DR Horton, Lennar, Toll Brothers, Pulte,
or
stuff
or,
like that.
or to a big oh my god, that's that's
Yeah.
brilliant. Yeah, that's amazing actually. Wow, land development. But so how you see, this is something very interesting, because uh, uh, a, a, a sophisticated property investor friend of mine that live in London, yeah, Ben one day was walking with me in London, and we passed by two houses, okay, that they were tall like this, and it was a
Yeah.
house in the middle that that was not as high as these two. And he told
Yeah.
me, Harry, look up. You see, let me show you something. This one, we call it air space. So what it means is that the house on the left is taller and the house on the right is taller. You can buy the house in the middle and you will be able to go higher because this is how it works. This is if the
Right.
left goes higher and the right goes higher, you have the right to go higher as well. So basically,
Sure.
you have air space there that if you buy the property. So this is kind of a how you call it, a inside information, inside piece of information that
Right.
takes a lot of relationship time, expertise being within the business until you meet people that have this key piece of information that can make a huge difference in your real estate business. Yeah. So when
Yeah.
my question, Mark, is when do you find out or how do you find out this key piece of information of the strategy that you're doing now, which I love it. And honestly, I never hear of something like this because it sound a little bit complex, but at the end of the day, it's actually working, and this is something that is not it's not a common strategy like flipping that everybody knows. So this thing that you
Right.
described to me, the land development, is something that it sounds to me very sophisticated.
It
A
is.
lot of experts, and it requires a lot of
It's
expertise. This
not
is
as
something
hard
you
as
need
you
to
would
know what
think,
you're doing,
though.
right?
Absolutely. But you know what? You also need to know who to work with that knows what they're doing as well. So it's not like
There you go. Because this
you're,
you're talking about big numbers now, right?
yeah, you're going to need
Imagine
a
400
construction
houses,
manager.
400 houses, space for 400 houses. This is no an easy thing, right?
Right. Yeah, you need a team for sure. It's not
So how
just
you
one
land
person.
this? How you landed in this strategy? How you end up there? I bet that you didn't start in doing this. This sounds too complex to me to start doing this.
Right. So, I mean, a lot of it has to do with just relationship building and getting into a place where you're working with people who are already in the space and they just need more opportunities to be presented to them to be able to do more business and grow. And we kind of plug ourselves in as GPs, my partner and I, and we present more opportunities of land that needs to be developed in the metros throughout the Sun Belts. And by presenting those opportunities, to the group that's been doing it for 20, 30 years, we insert ourselves into that opportunity.
Wow, what a great niche. You see, we always said that the riches are in the niches. Yeah. And my previous to this, that was the first property strategy you guys did, or you were doing something different with property before you landed into this?
Before we we well, we always knew about land development, but we weren't doing it full steam ahead. We were dabbling in it here and there, but before that we were doing what's called land flipping. And land flipping is when you take small infill lots that one home is built on, so maybe less than an acre, and you go and you find a lot, somebody wants to sell it, that's in the middle of a neighborhood or a city, and then you go to the builders and ask them, hey, do you want to buy this lot and build a home on it, just one home? And they'll say, yeah, how much are you selling it? So you talk to the seller and say, well, you sell it to me for 50,000, and they say yeah, and then you go to the builder and say, hey, we'll sell it to you for 80,000. So the seller gets 50,000 and then we get 30,000. And that's kind of what we were doing
And
beforehand.
the builder will arrive there. He will remove this house because it's all on whatever, and we build one from scratch and sell it for more money, right?
Sometimes it's like that, where it's a tear down, is what you just said. Yep. And sometimes it's just raw land and there's no house on it. And it's just sitting there waiting to be built, new home.
Sometimes it's even with just the land there waiting for it.
Yeah.
And wow. The other question is, what is the biggest challenge that you find out growing your business, and how you overcome that challenge?
So, yeah, the biggest challenge is I would say finding the right opportunities and that match the right buyers. So you're going to have a bunch of opportunities that come across your plate, and then you got to find the right buyers that line up, and then you got to kind of start connecting all the dots. That's a challenge to finding all the right buyers for all the opportunities you have. And then from there, the challenge ends up being you find the right buyer and you find the right opportunity that they like. Now, what about the price? Do they both agree on the price to move forward? And that becomes a little bit of a challenge, but that's just part of business. So I would say back to the main challenge is having a ton of opportunities and trying to figure out the right buyer for those opportunities.
So how come you get so in love with property? Do your anybody in your family have been a property entrepreneur, or how you
No,
land?
I mean,
How
my
you end
father
up?
was a contractor. He was in construction, grew up and he owned the company and did very well.
Oh, there
With his
you go.
family.
Your dad was an entrepreneur. He's an entrepreneur, right? Or was an
He
entrepreneur?
was an entrepreneur, correct.
Okay.
And
So what he thought
so,
when he heard that you want to have your own business, did he like the idea, or he told you that
well,
this is a bad
I'll tell you
idea?
how the story goes. I was coming out of college and then my father had the business at that time. And I peeked over at his profit and loss statement and I saw how much money he was making. I said, oh, that seems like it's a lot of money. Maybe I want to own my own business too one day.
Oh wow. Wow, what an inspiring story. So what happened when
Yeah.
daddy find out that you actually want to do this for real? Was he happy, or he was a little bit concerned and asked you that you should be
Yeah, I mean,
that
he
you
loved that
should
I was
have
an
your
entrepreneur.
find a job, that this being an entrepreneur is a risky thing, that maybe he want his son to be safe in a job. So or he really support you and said, okay, you know what, you want to become an entrepreneur, okay, I'll you have my approval. So how was this path for you? Was he happy, or was a little bit concerned?
He was happy. He knew that he could do it, and he basically was one of those guys that said, if I could do it, you could do it.
Well, so I think that this is a big, being an entrepreneur, but like we have been asking to all the 500 millionaires we interview here, it doesn't come by family inheritance. It's something that is good. We have it within ourselves, and some people parents are entrepreneurs, some people parents are not entrepreneurs. At the end of the day, is that spark that that somehow we think that we can do better and we can do it on our own. However, you and you kind of changed the trajectory because your dad was doing development, right?
He
And
was doing construction,
constructions, right?
so more so like painting, flooring,
Okay.
stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And now you go there and you start to do flipping, and maybe he's looking at you like, I'm not even understanding what you're doing. How come you're making this money without trying to get your hands dirty? I don't understand you. You didn't have the this time or challenging. I'm telling you, or actually he was happy because he knew that you're gonna have a wonderful life choosing the vehicle that one of the most excellent vehicle for to create wealth.
Yeah, land development is a beautiful space because you're building new homes for new people, right? That we desperately need homes in America today, more homes for more people and entry level homes, not the expensive homes. But
Mm-hmm,
you
mm-hmm,
know,
mm-hmm.
so we're in that space of building affordable housing, in Texas, in the Carolinas, in Florida, Georgia, Tennessee. And they're new construction, they look great, they're affordable, right, for the standard, and you're helping people not have to rent anymore, but they can actually maybe buy their own home because
Mm-hmm.
it's what they like and they can afford.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Uh, and the so what do you think, Mark, that are in United States the places, because as property strategy goes, is all about places. Sometimes a certain strategy works in one place and it doesn't work in another one. and vice versa.
Yeah.
So, what are the areas that you guys are looking at and working at, and why you choose this area, and if somebody will do, and what are the areas or places that if somebody will do land development, this kind of strategy won't work because of the characteristic of this area versus the area, or it works everywhere.
No, I mean, you got to look at the places where there's a lot of people moving into those areas. Because remember, we're building new homes. So you want new people coming in to live into these new homes. So you take a look at New York, California, a lot of people are moving out of those states
Mm-hmm.
and they're moving into the states that are a little bit more, warmer climates, but not only that, but just more flexible with housing prices, and the cost of living and the standard of living. So like North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, they're moving to places where it's a little bit more affordable, and not only that, taxes are lower. And we just look at the stats online, there's tons of stats that show you where the migration of people are moving to when they sell their homes. And it's usually in the Southeast or to Texas or maybe even Arizona.
Yeah. and and what is the um regarding to building the team, because for example building a road for the cars to go and things like this, and design a path, it requires a lot of planning. It requires planning, requires architects, requires compliance, right? Because that has to be according with the city or the place that you guys are doing this. So a lot of paperwork goes into place, right?
Lots.
And regulations and compliance, and so how you deal with all these challenge, when uh, you see you want to do this road there, but hey, hold on, you cannot do it because you're gonna block this and the water goes to this place, and then hold on, you cannot touch this because this tree is in the middle and you
Right.
cannot move it, and everywhere you go it's a different paper with different rules with different things that 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 you cannot do, right? It's not like you develop a land in Florida. It's gonna be the same rule than in Texas. You're gonna find a completely different office, a completely different set of rules. So how you get along with all this, and how you speed, because speed is something which is key in properties, and sometimes when you're dealing with the city, with the some of them they are faster than others, and that can have an impact in the end result of the whole deal. So how you deal with all these challenges?
Well, you have to have a point man, like a construction manager, and you have to have different players on your team that are continuing to follow up, right? That's part of their job. But at the same time, it's easier to do work and build and develop in certain areas than it is in others. So also knowing that up front will save you a lot of time. Sometimes we won't go into a certain metro or city because we know it's just not going to be a quick enough process for us to do what we have to do. So we'll stay away from that. There's a lot of red tape and there's a lot of back and forth with the jurisdiction. So it's kind of
Yeah, but
knowing from
how do you know the
experience, number
first time
one.
how much it's gonna the first time? Because until you don't do the first time, you won't realize that actually it took longer or not, right?
Yeah, usually the first time is, you'll want to call, again, local brokers. You want to call local civil engineers before you actually start a project. Talk to them and say, hey, if I started a project here, how is the process going to go with the city? Are they going to be tough? And you talk to those local engineers who've been doing it for a long time, and they'll tell you, oh, no, it's not that easy. What are you looking to build? And then, or they'll say, oh, if you're going to build that, forget it. It's going to take forever. So you kind of get the heads
the
up. Yeah.
permit the permit never will arrive. Yeah, forget it. It's gonna take longer. Yeah. Yeah, you definitely need to ask a lot of questions, because you don't want to see yourself with a big project with a lot of money tied, and then waiting for a paper that somebody needs to have signed, and this somebody's on holiday and is not coming, or is traveling, or it just takes long, because not always is fast, right? So
Right.
um on the other hand, we as entrepreneurs, we have to deal, especially for you guys that have an investment, right? So you have to deliver some return to the investors. Is that correct?
Yeah, we do have debt that we get, but we also have equity investors that come in, and we do raise the equity and provide them with a return of up to maybe 30% sometimes, yearly, annually. So by the time the 5 year, when we return their capital in 5 years per se, we could return on their investment.
So can you share with our audience what that means and what this return means so they understand more how it works?
Sure. Yeah, for example, if you put in $100,000 to help us develop a property or a project, and then you get a return on your investment, right? Everyone's looking for a great return. Let's say our return would be up to 30%, which means in year one, you go from $100,000 investment plus 30% at the end of the year. That's 130,000 you would get back. And then you would continue to sit that next year. So 130,000 was the next year, plus another 30,000, that's 160,000. And then year three, now you have 160,000. You get another 30%, if that's the case. Sometimes it's 20%, sometimes depending on the year. But we're just saying as if it's always 30%. You keep adding it on until the fifth year comes in our particular fund. And essentially, you're getting consistent return, which is basically your investment. So you put money in and then you get your money back plus your actual ROI.
And they can collect the money back after 5 years, right?
Correct.
Okay, so they will collect the money. And this is, so this is, what was the other one? Debt?
And debt is very similar to, like, we do debt on land when we ask for it. It's like when somebody gets a mortgage for their home. It's the same kind of concept. It's from a lender, right? And they usually try to give us really good rates. It could be from a regional bank. It could be from a national bank. But usually it's just from a bank. And, they provide us with a good interest rate. And we put that in to buy the property. And then we take the equity to help continue to buy it. And then the debt, we just play an interest rate. So if it's 10%, we'll just pay 10%, 10%, 10% on our debt. But if that's all we would have to pay, we wouldn't have to give any type of return on investment for the debt.
Exactly. And then, Mark, if somebody's in love with our conversation and want to learn more about this, how people can find you guys, how this work?
Yeah, so we have our company is called TM Investment Group, and if you look at my name on the screen, it says Marc Del Priore. If you put that into Google, you'll find me. I'm pretty much all over now. Or you can go on LinkedIn and you'll find my profile on LinkedIn, which shows everything that I've accomplished to date. It's my professional business profile. Those are the two best quick places to find me. Just Google my name or go onto LinkedIn
and they can contact you if they have a piece of land or and also if they want to invest, right? Or how?
Both, yeah. I mean, if they're looking to get into real estate or if they're looking to invest in some of our projects that we do.
How many projects do you have at the moment, Mark?
So currently now I have a couple LLCs that I own. And the one that I'm a GP.
Two projects at the same time.
Yeah, so I would say probably around between all the different LLCs that I'm either a part of or I own, probably around 25.
25, wow.
Yeah.
all over US, right? In these areas. Correct. That you, wow.
Yes.
25 sound too much to me. Wow, you must be very busy.
Well, they're not all my employees.
I get it. Yeah, partnerships and things like this.
Depending on which LLC it is. But yeah, there's a lot of people that come together as a team to make all this happen. So
So the this passion for real estate, right? That because one thing is that you saw your dad that was doing some maintenance as a business and the whatever, but you actually went for it, and you are glowing every time that you talk about your business. Um, did you
Yeah.
knew that you're gonna love it so much, or it was warming up little by little when
No,
you
I mean,
moving forward your career?
there's definitely days that go by where, you don't want to get out of bed. You're like, I got to get up. I got to handle this problem. And, it's like everybody else has their own life and their own problems.
Oh
And
my God! And the problems in this thing that you're doing, sometimes, oh my God, they are, especially if you need to deal with the city or with the in London we call it the council, right? So
yeah,
sometimes we have fire compliance, electric compliance, and then you want to do something, and then they don't want you to do it, and it's something really really silly, you know. But
yeah,
and then you have sometimes people that they are not flexible, that they don't understand that look, regardless that you have a piece of paper in your thing that you have to take the box, but you need to be a little bit reasonable because we're trying to move this forward. Yeah. So
right.
getting to my next question, Mark, do you believe that this regulating the market in deregulating more the real estate could be something that will make your life, guys, more easy and you can develop more homes? Or do you see that this excess of regulation has to be there because is needed, or because you guys are battling, you are at the front line, and because without you guys there is no houses after. So you're facing this, and I resonate with you when you say, oh my God, sometimes you don't feel like getting out of bed because when you have these big challenges that you're waiting for a license or you need a permit, and then need to speak with the person, you already spoke with the person, you already explained the person in 300 different ways that it doesn't make sense what he's trying to explain you. But again, you need to go 301 and try to and it's a challenge. It's very lucrative, don't get me wrong, when the thing pass. um it's amazing, but it's challenges, right? Because you need, sometimes you have to deal with people, and sometimes one person can stop a project which is a lot of people involved, and a lot of money is at risk, right?
Yeah, I mean, so that's why it's a matter of, crossing your T's, dotting your I's,
build
sharpening your
relationships
sword.
build relationships
Yeah, people you can trust,
Mhm.
making sure that your numbers line up properly, making sure that who you're working with is a strong partner that's not going to back out of the project or whatnot. And it
Make
takes a
sure
lot.
that, mhm. And also, Mark, make sure that the institution collaborate as well. There are some in London, I know, local areas, concept that it's easy to work with them, and you can move
Yeah,
forward, and actually they listen to you, and they want you to develop, and they really want you to progress, and they out there like a support and trying to help you the best that they can. And there is other areas that you go there and or you find so much headache that what's the point to what's the point to go there and try to, yeah, this is I don't know, here in United States, in United Kingdom, London, I can tell you for sure that it's like this. There are some areas that that the institution are more proactive, and they want you to grow,
yeah,
and they collaborate with you, and they are there to support you. And there are other people that is other places that they just, it doesn't matter, they don't care, and they go with 300 papers and make your life so much headache that after you get out the project, you see, you know what, I will never ever ever deal with this borrow or this anymore, because is running away that There is interesting. Sometimes people go and see the real estate developers, right? Or the people doing the real estate, they seem like, oh, this is this businessman that they are rich and they want to make money, and all you want to do is take rent for people, and they see you like this. I mean, they do have a job there and whatever, but what we really are doing is, of course, we have to make money, but we're creating a place to live. We are for people that actually need it. Yeah, and this is no, I don't know. It's no. It's a different product. It's not like a bag of popcorns or a can or something that is a place to live that people need it. So you certain
Right.
flexibility need to be in place in order to move forward, so we can deliver a big benefit for society. But sometimes the institutions see you like this, like you're providing a solution, everything. But when the institutions start to see you like you are the businessman and all you want is to make, that's what they think. They want to make money, want to exploit it, or whatever. Like this, they give you some headache for no reason. So how you deal with this? Because it's you are the same person, but the people dealing with you sometimes they have different professions. This has happened to me actually. I'm telling you from my own experience. I'm the same person, and when I had to deal with the institution from one place or another place, they see you as different, and it's just the perception of the person that you're dealing with. And still, you need to convey the idea. You need to win over this person, and you have to tell, look,
Yeah, that's
I
it.
want to comply, I want to see. So how how you deal, because my affect your mental health, because sometimes you take it, you might think there's a problem with you, right? That how come some people take them in more easy, and then sometimes some people are giving you just hard time, just I always say for free, just to give you a hard time. How you overcome that challenge? Because it goes a little bit in your mental health when you said, sometimes I not get out of bed because I've been there, that you're dealing with something, and oh my god, it's so tough, right?
Yeah, I think it's a matter of, I mean, I haven't really come across too much, but I would say personally, my opinion would just be being able to stay true to who you are is a very big proponent of that, and not, if you believe in what you're saying and what who you are and what you believe is true, stick to that. But then the other side of it is try to find a common ground, right? Try to pull back a little bit and try to find a common ground.
Yeah, I remember back in London, right? A pub got fire, right? And nobody wants it. Yeah, the rooms to rent there, and because nobody wanted end up with me. Yeah, and Harry, they told me, you look and this pub, fix the rooms and rent them out, and we're gonna give you good price. And I went there, I saw this pub, and this pub, oh my God, nobody wants to touch it. People were thinking that it's going to spend 100, 200,000 fixing that thing. But I went there with my team, we assessed the structure, said, look, it's just a little bit dark, but it's not a big deal. It can be done. So I make a deal with these people, and I said, look, I'll put the money, I'm going to fix it. Just give me 6 months for free, and I'll put the money and fix it up. I rent it, and after 6 months, I'll pay you rent, right? And I remember that this thing, because it was multiple rooms in London, there is something that calls HMO license, house of multiple occupancy. Okay. Oh my god. And when I applied for this license, the first get back that I got, it was that because that the pub was got fire, and a lot of people were inside there, and it was kind of a hazard because the previous landlord didn't have that license, and actually the landlord was in jail. And I'm like, oh my god! As I'm thinking, these people ain't never gonna give me the license for this thing. With this, I didn't know that was so bad. I didn't know that the landlord was actually in prison because he was renting the thing with no
Yeah.
HMO, and that the fire brigade, he said, I don't want to hear it about this pub again. People living there, something like that. You know what I mean? And then I go, and I remember the guy from the council that gave me the license. He told me, Harry, look, I'm gonna give you the license because it's in your name. That's the only reason. because
Yeah.
I have more licenses. I had more licenses. I was running not only that one. I had multiple licenses in multiple properties that I was running, so they knew me and they knew who I was, and they knew that I always followed the rule, and I had several licenses. And the guy came personally. I remember it was a long time ago. He came, but they never go personal. They came personally to see me in person, and that's the only thing he told me. He said, Harry, I'm granting this license to this just because it's you. Because if it's somebody that I don't know, I will never give this license to this thing because of the previous record and they say so. Sometimes I think that
Yeah, sometimes
I
if you
got
have a good
lucky.
reputation, it
I
goes
got
a long
lucky
way.
with my reputation. So lucky because it was actually, I mean, it was actually the employees that told me, no way, no way, no way, and it landed into the boss. And because it landed to the boss, that actually it was no boss when he started there. He was an officer and he was dealing with my licenses when I started my business. So he knew me since he was an employee, and we had done few licenses. And every time he arrived, Harry, change this, I change it. You want me to put this? I'll do it. You know, I never argue with them because at the end of the day, you have to do it. Of sometimes it costs money, but this is what it is. You know, you need to try to comply with them. You know, you need to spend an extra money. Who cares? You know, that's how you want it. If you like this, you're gonna get the license. Okay, I'll do it. So I used to work like with him like that in few licenses that we did, and now he became the boss. You know, and that's why I never see him again. And
Wow, that's amazing.
when
It's
that
like your
pop
angel.
came, was him who saved the whole game, and it was so that's what I'm telling you. That's that when you share it, this there are some times that you don't want to get out of bed dealing with this problem. This is one of those ones, but we somehow we survive, Mark. Yeah,
We always do. You keep persevering, keep pushing forward.
and have a good reputation. Have a good reputation is I agree with you. It's do always the right thing, even when nobody knows that you're doing the right thing. Especially in this business, we get you way ahead. So thank you so much. This has been a wonderful time, my friend.
Thank you.
And for all of you following the broadcast, see you in our next episode of Unstoppable, how brave entrepreneur like Mark break that wall and achieve the first million. Bye for now.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.